You probably thought your teachers decided what you learned in school. They didn't. In fact, in most countries, a small group of people, sometimes fewer than a dozen, decide what every student will study. They decide which parts of history to include, which scientific theories are acceptable, which skills matter enough to teach. And just as interesting as what is on the list is what's not. Before the 1800s, education was patchy. What you learned depended entirely on where you lived, who was teaching you, and what they happened to know. Industrialization changed everything. Factories and offices needed workers who could read, write, and handle numbers, the same skills, taught in the same way. Governments created national curriculums to ensure everyone left school with the same core knowledge. On paper, it was about fairness. In practice, it was also about control, making sure education produced the kind of citizens and the kind of workers that the economy needed. So who's actually in charge? In the UK, it's the Department for Education, working with exam boards. In the US, it's state boards of education, with federal influence from the Department of Education. In many other countries, it's committees made up of educators, politicians, and sometimes lobbyists. And here's the surprising part. These groups are often tiny. Your entire country's math syllabus might have been approved by fewer than 10 people. A lot of power, in very few hands. Curriculums aren't created in a political vacuum. They're shaped by culture wars, ideology, and public pressure. Controversial topics? Evolution, sex education, climate change. Depending on where you live, you might learn two completely different versions of the same historical event. In some U.S. states, the Civil War is framed primarily as a fight over slavery. In others, it's states' rights. And textbook publishers have huge influence. If a big state like Texas or California demands a change, publishers often rewrite the book, and those changes get printed for the whole country. In some countries, this control goes even further. In North Korea, the government decides every word in every textbook. Students are taught that their leader's family line is sacred, and much of the outside world simply doesn't exist. In China, school history lessons focus heavily on the century of humiliation by foreign powers, but avoid discussion of events like the Tiananmen Square protests. In Russia, recent curriculum changes have removed or reframed topics that conflict with official narratives about history and current events. In these systems, the curriculum isn't just about education. It's a tool of censorship and state control. But the real story isn't just about what's included. It's about what's missing. Think about it. Did school teach you how to file your taxes? How to create a budget? How to understand credit, debt, or interest rates? Probably not. Instead, millions leave school able to factor polynomials, but unable to read a payslip. Why? Because the curriculum rewards subjects that can be easily tested, like maths, literature, and science. Practical skills are seen as non-academic, and sometimes avoiding them is political. Tax systems differ, financial advice can be controversial, and no one wants to take responsibility for teaching the wrong way. The result? Many people enter adulthood financially illiterate, dependent on banks, accountants, and paid services. Sociologists talk about the hidden curriculum. It's all the lessons you learn at school that aren't in any textbook. Punctuality, following instructions, king to deadlines. These skills prepare you for the workplace, but they also teach something else: respect for authority, and an acceptance that someone else decides what's important. The hidden curriculum doesn't just teach you facts, it teaches you how to fit into the system. So who benefits from keeping the curriculum the way it is? Textbook companies make billions from standardized materials. Exam boards profit from testing services and revision products. Governments get a predictable, standardized workforce. And leaving out things like financial literacy, that means more demand for paid financial services. Some critics say it's no accident. An uninformed public is easier to profit from. The next time you wonder why you weren't taught something in school, remember, it's not an accident. What you learn is the result of decades of decisions made by people you've probably never heard of. The curriculum isn't just a list of subjects. It's a map of what your society thinks is worth knowing and what it thinks you can do without. And maybe it's time we all had more of a say in drawing that map. Hey guys, Quotidian here. If you like this video, then please consider liking and subscribing, as it really does help our channel to grow and continue to bring you interesting videos about the everyday like this one.